All right, let's jump right in. I want you to imagine being given a direct command, a super urgent warning about a disaster so bad that your only hope is to drop absolutely everything and just run. Well, that's exactly what we're unpacking today. A 2,000-year-old prophecy from Jesus about a specific moment in the future when people in Judea must flee to the mountains to survive. So where does this all come from? Well, this whole famous teaching, which is known as the Olivet Discourse, it's actually a direct answer to a really pressing question from Jesus' disciples. They're asking him, when? When is this going to happen? And what's the sign? How will we know that the end is coming?
And you gotta picture the scene here, because the setting is just as important as the words themselves. Jesus and his disciples, they're on the Mount of Olives, right outside Jerusalem. And from that spot, they would have had this incredible panoramic view of the city and its magnificent temple. That view is totally crucial to understanding what's about to happen.
So what got them so worried in the first place? Well, just moments before, his disciples were just marveling at the temple, its size, its beauty, and that's when Jesus drops this absolute bombshell on them. He says this entire massive structure they're admiring, it's going to be completely leveled, not one stone left on another. So you can imagine, hearing that is what triggers their urgent question, when?
So how does Jesus answer them? Well, it's interesting. He doesn't start with the final sign. He actually begins with a whole series of preliminary events. He calls these the beginning of sorrows, and you should think of them as just that, precursors. They are not the main event that triggers the command to flee.
He uses this really vivid metaphor. He calls them birth pangs. He says there will be wars and rumors of wars. His followers are going to face persecution. The gospel message will spread throughout the world. And at the same time, society will see division and lawlessness just ramp up. Now, these are signs of a really difficult time for sure, but they are not the ultimate signal to run for the hills.
And this part is absolutely crucial. Jesus makes it really clear that while these birth pangs will be incredibly tough, they're survivable. They are endurable. He's basically saying, this is just the warm-up act. These events are leading to something else, a time of far, far greater severity that's going to require a much more extreme response. So if all of that, the wars, the persecution, if those aren't the final trigger, then what is? This is the moment they were waiting for. Jesus finally moves on to describe the one specific, unmistakable sign that activates the command to flee.
And that sign is called the abomination of desolation. Now, for his Jewish listeners, this wasn't some new, strange term. It comes straight from a prophecy in the book of Daniel, written centuries earlier. It basically refers to a person doing something absolutely horrific, a sacrilegious act, inside the holy temple itself, defiling it and making it desolate.
In the Gospel of Mark, it's described as seeing this person standing where he ought not to be, which everyone understood meant inside the holy temple. And this is it. This is the one non-negotiable sign. When the people of Judea see this happen, the time for talking is over. It's time to go.
And you can feel the tone of the prophecy shift right here. The moment that sign appears, the instruction isn't to get ready or to watch and wait. No, it's to act immediately. The appearance of this abomination marks the beginning of what's called the Great Tribulation.
And the instructions really highlight the insane urgency of the situation. The escape plan is simple and it is severe. If you're in Judea, you flee to the mountains. If you're on your housetop, don't even think about going back inside to grab anything. If you're out working in a field, don't even go back for your coat. The escape has to be sudden, it has to be hurried, and there can be absolutely no delay.
But why? Why such a panicked retreat? It's because the disaster that follows this sign will be catastrophic. Jesus describes it as a time of distress so unbelievably severe that nothing like it has ever happened in all of human history, from the very beginning of creation, and nothing like it will ever happen again. That's why it's so urgent.
So, let's be crystal clear about this. According to the prophecy, for anyone living in Judea who sees these events unfold, this frantic flight into the mountains isn't just a good idea. It's presented as the one and only path to survival. It is literally a matter of life and death.
Okay, so this all sounds incredibly intense, right? And it seems really focused on a very specific future event. So you might be wondering, what's the point of a prophecy like this? Why tell people about something that might not even happen for generations? Well, the final part of the text gives us a clue. It turns out, prophecies like this aren't just about predicting the future. They're often given way in advance for the benefit of the people living in the present, the people who first heard them, and, well, those of us who read them now. The value isn't just in seeing it come true, it's in the hearing of it.
So what's that benefit? Well,
Knowing what could be coming is meant to encourage people, to challenge them, and to motivate them to act. And maybe just as important, understanding how bad things could potentially get should make us all a little more thankful for the times of relative peace we have right now.
And in the end, Jesus himself sums up the whole purpose. He tells his listeners to take heed, basically to pay attention, precisely because he's told them all of this stuff in advance. The warning itself is a kind of preparation, a call to be spiritually and mentally ready.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. Whether you believe these events have already happened, are yet to come, or are maybe symbolic, it's still worth asking. How does a 2,000-year-old warning about running to the mountains still challenge or motivate people today? What does it really mean to take heed in our own lives in our own time?